Hi everyone, and welcome back to Amber's Doodle Art and More. I thought I'd do a drill with me today. This is one actually that I unboxed in my last video. And there goes Guinevere again in the background. She's being very vocal and talking to her other dog and the cat, probably. So I'm here alone with them today, so I'm expecting they're going to be trying to figure out why I'm talking to myself. Yes, then she's coming in and trying to say hello and let me know she's there. Oh, yes. And now she's jumping up on me. Okay, can you get down? What, you want to cuddles? Okay, cuddles for a moment. If anybody has ever had a border collie, they are so affectionate. They want to be where you are. Their only goal in their life is to make you happy. They are amazing animals. Yes, you're amazing. You know that, right? Her tail's going. She's being very quiet, but she just wants to scratch behind her ear, but she's got her paw hooked over my arm like, Mom, I'm not letting go. She is just a sweetie, aren't you? Okay, can you get down now? Have you had enough? Okay. Go find the cat. Go play with Pixel. I'm trying to send her off to play with her cat. The cat terrorizes her. But they play together awesome. So anyway, back to this. This is the Skellington Pumpkin Ale Diamond Painting that the last one I unpacked that I showed you. I put all the pieces into this binder, the Craftmates Lockables. I had written all the colors on the top of the containers in a Sharpie. Since then, I've changed that. I actually made a color copy and cut out the pieces and stuck them on. Unfortunately, I guess I didn't let the ink dry long enough, but the numbers started wearing off and coming off onto the plastic. So I'm going to have to clean that up. I was at work when I did it, so I didn't have my rubbing alcohol with me that I would usually use to clean the tops. I wasn't going to run out and buy more. So I had access to a color copier, so I color copied the side of the canvas, the legend, and just took some tape and cut them out and put them on top. Normally I would like to have them go this way, but these pieces, it's just a little long, it overlaps. So what I've done in the past when I've done this is I've actually taken it into another program and condensed the space between the symbol and the number so that it takes up less space and I can put them in this direction. But this will work this time. It's a little bit more challenging for me seeing it sideways, but it'll work. So what I do with this, what I've been doing with this diamond painting is I've actually been taking it back and forth to work with me. My husband works just up the street from me, and he starts work at 7 a.m. and he works a 12-hour shift, so he works till 7 p.m. I only work from 9 to 5. So what happens is he drops me off at work and I have keys to the store and everything so I can go in, but I get to work at like 6:30 in the morning. And people out there, I know you guys are going, it's crazy, why are you getting there so early? Answer is simple. I live in Toronto, Canada, and for me to get to work on public transit, it would take me an hour and a half. I would rather not be on public transit for an hour and a half. I would rather be sitting in the back of my store working on something like this, spending my time more productively than sitting on Toronto Transit for that long. Sorry, I'm just looking for my toolkit so I can actually start. I thought I unpacked everything I needed, and clearly I left something out. So Anyway, that's why I get to work so early, and why I take a diamond painting with me to work on at work, and then I'll do part of it at home. So literally, I take the Lockables binder with all of this in it. My canvas is rolled and either put in a tube, or if I have a box, I'll roll it and put it in a box. And then I just have a Ziploc bag. And this Ziploc bag has pretty much anything in it that I could need. I have... Sorry, excuse me, my voice is bugging me today. I have some little squares of paper from the canvas, so if I'm working on a big section and I'm finding my hand sticking to it, I can actually just put a piece down so it blocks it. Actually, these are from my last diamond painting. What I did was I actually scored the sections just through the top paper, so I could expose little bits, an area that I could reasonably get done in time. Got a few green trays with me. I have some Loctite. I have a few pieces of longer canvas covers just in case I need them. Those ones are short. This one's, just in case. So I'm prepared for whatever might hit. I actually, in the other piece that I was taking back and forth to work that is in a tube, I have that with an actual bigger piece of canvas across it. I have a pick-me-up pen, which I like, but lately I find my hand's been bothering me, and this is a little bit harder for me to use. So I've gone back to just using the plain drill pens. I also bring back back and forth some dryer sheets in case I have static. Pair of tweezers. Drill pens, I have a few in there. I have a couple pink pens as well. There's a grippy if I want to use it, but I find they keep sliding off the pens, so they haven't been my favorite lately. The wax I've been using, along with a couple of pieces of other wax, and I have a white funnel tray as well in case I need it. So basically, I pretty much have everything I could possibly want to have with me when I'm doing this. So it makes it easy. It's all in one Ziploc bag. And it's kind of my portable kit. So I'm just going to leave the wax out that I'm using. I may try using the pick-me-up pen today, so I'll leave it out. Excuse me. Regular drill pen. I like to have 3 trays out. One that I'm actually putting the diamonds in that I'm using. Another one that if I get garbage diamonds that I can just put them in. And the last one is just there in case I need to put 2 trays together to crunch the diamonds to get them to release from each other. I also take my light pad back and forth with me to work. My light pad's just underneath here. And the way I do that is, I know you've probably seen this from Stitchery stuff. I have a battery pack. So I just charge it, and then I plug my light table into it, and I can use this. And generally what I do is, I find this one's getting old, so I'll hold a charge for a couple hours while doing this. But I recharge it while I'm actually working, because I end up waiting for 2 hours for my husband when I finish work as well. So I can just reverse the plugs. This one will just go into here, so that now I have the USB USB adapter, and I can just plug that into my computer at work, and when I do that, it will charge for me. So yeah, that's how I do that, and it should have a good charge, but I did use it towards the end of the day. I won't actually get to do anything at work for a couple days. My husband's schedule is, he works a few days, like he's working this weekend, which today is a Sunday. I'm not entirely sure what day I'm going to get this video up. I still have to edit everything, and I still have to edit my first videos as well and post it. My computer's having a bit of an issue with the internet, so that may take a few days. So I'm recording this on a Sunday, but it could be midweek before you guys are actually seeing this. So what actually happens with his schedule is he works Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and he works 12-hour shifts. Then he would be off Monday, Tuesday, and then he would work Wednesday, Thursday, and be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday the following weekend. So their work schedules actually go from the Sunday to start on a Sunday. So one week he works 4 days, the other week he works 3. It's just set up that the start of his week 2 means he works 3 days back to back. So it's kind of cool because I have some time here alone. I love my alone time. I'm an only child, so being alone, actually, it's sometimes kind of comforting. Sometimes I'm finding in small doses. So anyway, I was going to work on this today with you guys, and I found some tag questions online that I'll answer. so you guys can get to know me better. I did a lot of the top of this at work, and I did that purposely. I wanted to get this all the way across. I started doing just filling up the entire section, and then I was thinking, no, I wanted to do more than just black. You guys sitting here watching me fill in just black after black after black, it would just get kind of boring. So I didn't want that. I'm just going to shift my light table over so it's under the area that I'm actually working on. And this is actually the wording. I actually did a color printout of the image. Got a little mangled on the way home. So this is the actual painting. So what we're working on is this top piece here. And there's a part of the S that's coming up here, but right now it's kind of the chalkboard swirl into where it says since 1993. Established 1993. The little crown on top. So that's probably not going to come through the most solid because this is the crown area. But we'll see. It has a lot of fairly muted colors in it. I'm actually surprised how often I have to change colors in this other than the black. So let's just get to it. And I have my iPad set up on the side, like I said, with some tag questions. So I'll answer those as I go and see how we do. So first question is, what's your favorite candle scent? I don't know that I really have a favorite candle scent. We don't really have candles around here. Like I said, we have the animals. It's more of an issue of safety and less candles around because we brought, a year ago we got a kitten, and she's a climber. She is such a climber. She climbs on everything in sight. It is crazy what this kitten climbs on. So honestly, I'm kind of afraid to have any candles out because if she just goes. She has no fear. She has no reason to fear anything. But if I had to pick one, I would say I love the smell that you get the Christmas spice candles. It's just something about that I like. And it's funny because even with tea, I love the smell of like spiced tea. So like chai tea, but I like the spice chai just because it has this like cinnamon and clove smell. I love that. And the funny thing is one time we were actually looking for candles, and I hate the smell of pine candles. I really do. I find it really kind of overpowering and just not pleasant. I don't mind the smell of pine in general, like pine oil, like as long as it's not too strong. If we're outside and it can smell pine trees, I'm fine with that smell. I just don't want the overpowering smell of a pine candle in my house, unless my dogs get sprayed by a skunk. That actually happened last summer. Excuse me. Towards the middle end of August, I felt really bad for the poor dog. Our border collie Guinevere, she's just a sweetheart for most things. It's funny, I say she's a sweetheart, but out of my two dogs, if anybody was gonna bite, it would be Gwen. And I find that funny because I do say she's the sweetest. She's just, she sees another animal and she just wants to be its friend. It's instant curiosity, and she wags her tail, and she just wants to be friends with everything. We moved into this house and she found, she was lying under our patio table, and this toad just came out of nowhere and was just hopping in front of her, and she just laid there perfectly still and watched this toad go along, and it even hopped over her nose. It actually touched her and jumped on her nose and jumped off the other side. And when that happened, she got up and followed it, and she kind of got it into the corner of a doorway, and she kissed it. She went to lick it, and I was trying to tell her not to. Toads excrete kind of a toxin on their skin to protect them, and yeah, she did not like the taste of that toad's butt. I'm sure nobody would like the taste of the toad's butt, but yeah, she licked the toad's butt, and it was an absolute just drama episode afterwards of her just spitting and, you know, shaking her head and sneezing. It was actually quite comical, but she didn't kiss any more toads, but she continually brought them into the house. So I can only imagine, because I actually didn't see the incident, but a skunk was on our patio. My husband let them out, and I was still upstairs in the house. It was really early. I remember it being really early. We had to go to an appointment somewhere out of town. It was going to take us like 2 hours to get there, so we had to leave. And Gwen got sprayed by the skunk just before we're getting ready to go. And he's outside. I think it was probably like 5:30 in the morning. And we live in a townhouse complex. And he's yelling at Abby, who was our other dog, to get out of there. All I can hear is, Abby, 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 get out of there. And I come running down the stairs, and in this loud whisper, it's like, Jay, stop yelling, the neighbors. And he just turned around, looked at me, said one word. He said, skunk. And yeah, all pretense of the neighbors and worrying about the neighbors and being quiet when out the door, my instant reaction was to start screaming at Abby to get in the house, to get away. It was like, yep, I went from being shh, the neighbors to, oh my God, screaming at like full volume. It was crazy. So, yeah. And we had to leave and go out of town, and we had to put the stinky dogs back in the house in their crates before we left. Needless to say, when we got home, the house, oh my God, it was just horrible. And we picked up this skunk stuff at a pet store, which is great because where we were going, there was a pet store right next door, so I could go and deal with that. We got this great stuff. You don't bath them, you just kind of spray them down, and they suggest using a sponge to go over their face. But if anybody has animals and they ever had their animal get sprayed by a skunk, it's horrible. It lasts forever. So I had my husband go to the dollar store to try to find some pine candles. It was the only time ever I specifically wanted pine candles, just to try to get something, anything that would overpower this horrible smell in the house, because I was actually off work at the time. I had been home sick, was actually on a medical leave, and I couldn't actually leave the house. So I was trapped in the house with this smell until it went away, pretty much. It was not pleasant. So on candles, sorry, this all came from Candle Scents. Favorite would be spice candles. If we even have candles. The other least favorite would be pine, but of course the one time I do go looking for it, so there's a purpose. Can't find them. But the next time I did, I was in the store, dollar store. I didn't care where I was or what I paid for them. When I saw pine candles, I picked up like half a dozen, because we live in an area where we're right on a river. So there is a lot of wildlife. And the skunks this summer have been like everywhere. We've come home and it's been still light outside. It's not even getting really close to dusk, and those little critters are out already. Like, it's just, the light's just starting to fade, and they're up and they're active. There's like a whole family of them around here. I've actually backed back into our parking garage and refused to move for like 20 minutes just to let a skunk go by. Yeah. So it looks like the smell in our house from scented candles. I'm gonna learn to like pine if it should be needed again. Question 2. What female celebrity do you wish was your sister? Oh my God. Okay. Hands down. Whoopi Goldberg. I love that woman. That woman is just the best. I don't know. She's hilarious. And I actually met her once in real life, and she is just as wacky in real life. Like, when she's not on screen, that woman is just, life would never be dull. I can say that 100%. Life would never be dull. She says exactly what's on her mind, and I don't know, she's funny. She is just so funny. But she can be serious too, but it depends on the situation. But 99% of the time, she is just a happy, crazy woman who just loves to say what's on her mind. Politically incorrect sometimes, but who cares? You know, I'm not one for politically correct terms or whatever. It is what it is. What male celebrity do you wish was your brother? I honestly have no idea. My brother. Who would I want as my brother? Honestly don't know. Never really thought about it. If you went with the crazy stuff and the funny stuff, I guess if you didn't want life to be dull, I guess I'd go along with somebody like the opposite or the male counterpart to Whoopi Goldberg, or somebody like Jim Carrey. But that just might be too much practical joking with the two of them. And how old do you think you'll be when you get married? Well, I am married, so I can answer that. It's not how old you think you will be. I was 33 when we got married. Question number 5. Do you know a hoarder? And it's funny, I asked my husband these questions last night, and he says, do we count? And I guess he's kind of looking at all the diamond paintings, everything else. I started this. I have other craft things I do. He is into amateur radio, so he's got radios. Oh my God. He's got so many radios. Not that that's something I really can complain about, because you can turn around and complain about all my craft stuff just as easily and win. So we support each other in our hobbies. And try to keep them in their place. Would I say we're hoarders? Not really. We just have a little tight space on stuff. And we're still trying to organize our house, even though we've been here for 4 years. I've been sick, so I haven't been very much help. Illness has kept me from being able to do what I would normally do. So a lot of getting the house prepared, and the house needed a lot of work when we moved in, has fallen on him. And he works so hard, and he's just so tired, and he takes care of me. So if somebody walked into our house right now, you know, with the boxes and the stuff that we have here, yeah, somebody might think we're a hoarder, but we just haven't unpacked it yet. It's just taken forever. We've unpacked what we need. And everything else is kind of set. We still have rooms to paint and just get things in order to unpack. And people would say after 4 years, you still need to do that, you're crazy. But understanding the circumstances makes a big difference. I've been fighting bone cancer for the last 8 years, so with therapy and treatments and stuff like that, it's been hard. I do go to work every day. I've worked through the treatments, so by the time I get home some days, honestly, majority of the days, even when I'm not doing treatment, because I'm usually recovering from around, I'm exhausted. I am I'm in pain by the time we get home. There's nights I come home and literally it's like my home and my car are kind of my safe zone. I'm allowed to break down in those places and actually show how I feel. And there's moments where I get in the car and I instantly burst into tears because I'm at that much pain, or I'm feeling that horrible. There's been times where I get in the car and literally I'm sick. I have heavy duty sealable bags literally in the door pocket right by my seat, because it seems if I'm feeling nauseous and I'm going to get nauseous, I can't actually like throw up at work unless it's really bad. But it's like almost like I hit that safe zone and my body just goes, okay, you're safe now. So anything that needs to happen, just it happens. So I haven't been much help putting the house together. I basically come home and rest. I sleep. I do diamond painting. I do whatever. He doesn't want me to be working on things and straining myself. He wants, if I'm insisting on working, which I am insisting on working, it's my choice to go to work. We could apply for disability and I could stay home and he would work. That would make things tighter around home. But it isn't even a money issue. It's a case of I would go nuts. I do not want to be at home and just sitting here doing nothing. Or even I don't want to be home and just doing stuff like crafts and diamond painting. I want to be out and doing stuff that I need to do. I said in the beginning, if I stay at home through this, and I would feel like it was winning. I was going to do everything I possibly could to keep my life as normal as possible. And yeah, that's kind of sometimes impractical, and I've had a lot of people that have been really judgmental about that. And it's funny because you figure most people who would be really supportive if you want to continue working about that, but they all look at me and they're like, why would you do that? Stay at home. Because staying at home, if I'm gonna let them basically poison me all the time, why am I letting somebody poison me to sit at home? If something happens and this doesn't work, I've spent my life, or what's left of it, at home, miserable. I'd rather be out and actually doing something and trying to keep life normal. Otherwise, I feel, why am I letting them poison me? I'm letting them poison me to try to cure me, but they're destroying my life in the process. They're destroying who I am. And I'm pretty stubborn. So, yeah. Anyway, our house quarter, yeah, it's not done. God, these questions go off on a tangent or what, right? I'm getting a lot more than just that question. But I guess that's the point to the questions. Next question. Can you do a split? That's a funny one. Can I do a split? No. Purposely? No. Have I done the splits? Yes. It's always great when you slip on a floor and one leg goes one way and one goes the other. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have run into that. Can I purposely do the splits? I'm not even going to try. Because, I'm sorry, ow, that's painful. I don't have that kind of flexibility. Have I done them? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just never on purpose. How old were you when you learned to ride a bike? I guess maybe in the ballpark of 5 or 6. I'm not really sure. But I would say that was it. Both my parents worked, so they dropped me off at a babysitter during the week, and it was always in her house. It was near the school, so it was convenient. It was good. She used to walk me to school in the morning, come get me afterwards. My 3 cousins went to the same babysitter, so it was just the 4 of us there with her. And it was her husband that actually taught me how to ride my bike, because in the summer we were with them all day. Like, all day. My parents would drop us off in the morning and I'd be with them until my mom or dad came and picked me up that night. So her husband was teaching me how to ride my bike without the excuse me, training wheels. And I believe it was probably around when I was 5 or 6. It took me a long time to get it. I fell so many times. He got me going with the idea of it, and you know how you see these movies and you see whatever, or you have a parent out there all the time watching you with the bike and the training wheels. Well, that wasn't the case. It was somebody always was kind of always keeping an eye on us, but when I was growing up, things are different than it is now. Now your kid goes out on the street and they're 5 or 6, and you really got to keep an eye on them, because everything's gone to like crap. There's shootings, there's stabbings, there's everything, like every day. There's like areas in the city that used to be safe or whatever. They're not safe anymore. Nothing's safe. Nowhere's safe. It's like this disaster that's happened, and I don't understand why things are so dramatically different. But you can't leave a 5 or 6-year-old child outside alone anymore. You used to be able to do that. Sorry, I'm just going to grab a quick drink here. Now if you do that, you're taking the chance like something could happen. It used to be that, you know, I remember my babysitter, once I got old enough, it would be, there was always a crossing guard at the school. So, and school was literally 2 blocks away. So it was 1 street down, and then partway down her street. And it used to be that, okay, I could walk home from school on my own when I was that age. But I was not allowed to cross the street. I could not cross the street on my own. So I could cross the street with a crossing guard in front of the school. And that would put me in a position where I could be directly across the street from the babysitters and wait for her to come out of the house, and she would watch me cross the street coming to her place. And this is kind of funny, and it's silly, and I was such a stickler for the rules, and I wanted to be so independent, and I knew that if I didn't listen to this rule, that I wasn't going to be able to walk home from school on my own. So it was just a little suburb street. I mean, there's nothing but houses. It wasn't high traffic. It wasn't... Oh, I missed another one of those W's. I keep grabbing up here for something, and there's not a lot of each of these colors, so I'm just pulling them out of the container. And I keep missing. And it's all the same one I keep missing. It's driving me nuts. So I'm going to pull a W again. Sorry, it wasn't like there was a lot of traffic on the street. In fact, sometimes I would get there sooner than what she would expect me to, or she'd be cooking or something in the kitchen, and she'd be a few minutes later getting out to the street to watch me cross. And I would just be standing there, and no cars would go by, but I would just be standing there and waiting and waiting and waiting. And it was really funny because I remember, because I'd been going to her since basically I was an infant. Her neighbors knew me. And it was funny because one of her neighbors came out, and her neighbor said to me, from across the street, said, "Oh, honey, why are you just standing there?" And I said, "I'm not allowed to cross the street on my own." And she says, "Oh, okay, so what do we have to do so you can come on this side?" I said, I need Dina to tell me it's okay." And she says, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I need her to tell me it's okay, I can cross the street." And she says, "Well, sweetie, there's no cars coming, so how about I help you cross the street tonight?" And it was just funny because by this point the babysitter had come to the front door, and like she had just been a few minutes late. She got distracted by cooking, and I understand that. As a kid, did I understand that? Not really. I just knew I couldn't cross the street until then, and I wasn't really upset. I was just standing there waiting. I was a good, patient kid. I was doing what I was told. So they came and helped me cross the street. But, just one thing after another. But I grew up with these people, so they're like my family, which I love. And they taught me how to ride my bike, and there was a lot of little things that they taught me that I know my parents would have rather been able to teach me, but the practicality of the situation was they had to work. And this woman was the one that got to show me stuff and teach me stuff because she was the one that was there. And riding my bike, nobody was out there the whole time. I was allowed on our side of the street to ride my bike up and down the sidewalk, but only in one direction because the next door neighbor to her had this huge bush that surrounded her front yard, and it blocked off a lot of view from the other side of the street. So I was allowed to ride my bike up and down the sidewalk as long as I was in view of the house. So not around any corners, not anywhere out of sight, not down the other side of the street where they couldn't see me. And they were in the middle, so it wasn't so bad. I had a long way to ride my bike. And I was pretty persistent. They took the training wheels off. He got me familiar with what I needed to do. He held onto the back of the bike for a few tries to give me the feeling of it and what I needed to do for balance, to try to, more to show me that it was possible, I guess is the way to put it. He was showing me that it was possible to do this without training wheels. And then he would go back in the house because he had worked all day. He was tired, whatever. And I was out there for weeks and weeks trying to ride my bike. Trying to make my bike go and not fall without training wheels. I think it took me 2 weeks. And I was just so persistent on getting it. And when I finally got it, it wasn't just, it just clicked. All of a sudden, it just clicked. And I just went the whole distance that we were allowed to go on the bike without the training wheels. I remember going it like perfectly straight, perfectly steady. It was no wobbling. It was like a case of everything just connected. And that's usually the way it is with me. It's all or nothing. It either connects or it doesn't. I don't do anything halfway. So, you know, the stumbling, I was stumbling, going like, putting my feet up, coming down, putting my feet up, coming down, you know, not getting anywhere for 2 weeks. I go like a foot and that's it. And I can now go and just go and not stop and fall. It was like no in between, no practice. It just either happens or it doesn't. And it was great because I remember when that happened, the first time that I got it, and I was going at a pretty good speed, coming down the sidewalk. My dad had just was driving up the street, coming to pick me up. And he actually got to see me ride my bike for the first time. And he was just so impressed that I had done this. And he didn't even know that they were trying to teach me without the training wheels. He had no clue. So it was a complete surprise for him. And it was a surprise for me because it was the first time I had actually done this without falling and without stumbling and the furthest distance I had gone. So it was great. And at that time too, Mike, that's the babysitter's husband, who had been trying to teach me how to ride my bike, had actually come out on the front porch. So it was kind of I don't know how to describe it. It was just one of those moments where it's like, oh my God. So everyone caught it all at the same time. And it was a great feeling. It was great. I don't know. It was fantastic. Just being able to ride my bike and surprisingly, that's the only thing I ever learned to keep my balance on. I never learned to ice skate. Nope. I was horrible at ice skating, which I'm so disappointed at. I always wanted to ice skate, and I just could not figure it out. I am not the most coordinated person. I am clumsy. At this point, going this far into this video, I'm surprised I haven't dropped all these drills everywhere. So anyway, so I was about 6. And question number 8. How many oceans have you swam in? I have not swam in any oceans. I'm actually afraid to swim in the ocean, and that is weird. I know. The whole idea of sharks and stuff, I'm going to be honest with you, it freaks me out. I think sharks are cool. Actually, I think they're amazing. They are they've lived for so long. I have so much respect for them as a living creature, that they live for that long, that they have basically survived with very little involved in evolution. Like, they haven't changed. They are well-built machines that just do what they do. So total respect for them. You know what? I don't want to be in the water with them. They just kind of make me a little bit nervous. However, you know what, saying that, one thing I would love, and someone that I know is one of my old clients, she had this posted on her Facebook page. She had actually gone down to the Cayman Islands, and they have a stingray bay. So it's all stingrays, and they take you out there and swim with them. You get to touch them, and I was just like, oh, I still want to do that. We have at our zoo here in Toronto, we have a stingray pool where they're cow nose stingrays, and I'll always remember that because it was so funny. Because my husband and I went in there, and we took his son. His son was about 10 at the time. Took him into the zoo, and I so wanted to go to the stingrays. So you set up a time, you pay a little bit extra, and you get to go in to the stingray exhibit. And what it is a shallow pool they have. And when you walk in, you have to wash your hands or whatever, your arm up to your elbow in the flowing water they have there. It's to try to avoid any contamination. You have to remove any rings or watches you're wearing, put them in your pocket until you're done. And you actually get to go stand or sit by the side of this pool, and you can reach in and touch the stingrays. And I remember saying to my husband, they look like, oh my God, they look like cows. Their faces, they look like cows. And these things are so excited for the attention. They're running, pushing themselves up against the side of the pools so that people can touch them. And I thought this was so, so cool. I could have sat there for hours. In fact, I'm pretty sure we were there for about an hour and a half. And they have some small rock sharks and that in there as well. And they're harmless. So I touched them, and I actually posted a picture of me touching the shark. And the shark was only, I don't know, he was like a foot long. He wasn't that big. And this little brown shark. And we posted a picture of me touching it on my Facebook page. But if I could go, I would probably go in the ocean. If I could go to the Cayman Islands and actually go to this area where they have the stingrays, I would gladly jump in the water and do that. My husband says he could never take me to a place like Africa or whatever for a safari, like or a hotel where like they had the animals come right up to the hotel or your room, because I would just want to touch everything. I am such an animal person. I would want to literally go out and touch them all. And I wouldn't care, a zebra, a giraffe, okay, fine. But I'm the type of freak, I would want to touch the lion. I would want to touch everything. I'm like that. I ask permission, and I'm not one of those crazy people that go around touching everybody's dogs. I ask first. I have my own dogs, and I hate it. I hate it when people come up and they just assume that they can touch an animal. So I'd be going around asking everybody, can I touch this? Can I touch this? You know, I'd be trying to find somebody at the hotel. Let me go touch that. Are we allowed to touch that? And everything else. I would probably drive everybody nuts. So, yeah. Oceans, not my thing. Not a desire to swim in an ocean. Just not me. 9. How many countries have you been to? Well, been here in Canada, and I've actually been to the U.S. So, other than that, not a lot. Number 10. Is anyone in your family in the Army? Well, that's kind of a funny question. My husband is, or was, technically still, still considered, if there was a wartime situation or something, where they were calling up, like, people they had in reserve. My husband is former Army, so technically, yes, he is a captain, so they could call him up if they wanted to. He hasn't been out of an active duty role long enough to actually be clear and free out. And then it's kind of a side note here. The store I work at, there's only 3 of us there, ever. And in a small store, and we're a busy store. We're an incredibly busy store. We do work that, you know, and the store that's above us in rankings, they have like 4 or 5 people working at a time, and they have shifts and everything else. Us, we're pretty much there all day, just the 3 of us. Shifts are spread out. Yes, we don't all start at the same time. We don't all finish at the same time. But if we start and then things are busy, unless we have to leave, like, I'm supposed to finish at 5, but if we're in the middle of a big project and I don't have somewhere I absolutely have to be at a certain time, I don't finish at 5. We stick around, we help each other out, we get the stuff done. We do what we need to do. And when you work in a place like that, they essentially, you get along with each other, or you do your best to make it work, because you spend more time with these people than you spend with your own family, the people you were born into, or you're married to, or your children, or whatever the case is. When you work full time and you work in a small place, you're stuck with these people. So you get along, and it has to be people that get along. You have to fit into the dynamic. You have to have a spot. If you're somebody that doesn't work in that area, then, you know, you don't last long, because it's stressful for everybody. So we essentially have to get along like a little family unit. And do we have cases? It's funny because we hide very little from each other. If I'm in a bad mood or somebody else is in a bad mood, it can be good and it can be bad. Sometimes there's no filter when we're dealing with each other. We can be kind of brutal and say exactly what's on our mind, and well, that's great. It's not always fantastic, but as I was saying, you basically become a little family unit. And one of my coworkers, who I adore her. She doesn't work with us anymore, but like I said, you become so close that you become like family, that literally I call her my little Korean sister. You know, she's like a sister I never had. We're close, and we got that close. We still talk, we still message back and forth, but we haven't been able to do that for a few months. I haven't been